John Melton coming to you live with realjohnmelton.com. What's going on, everybody? So let's talk about MLM hopping. The problem is, if you want to build a long-term residual income, you can't hop around all the time, obviously, but at the same time, sometimes things happen. I like to look at MLM just like dating. You're probably, if you're married right now, you're probably not married to the person you first dated, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with being involved in different companies over a sustained period of time. Now, of course, I'm going to say that because I have been, right? I was in a company that was a startup when I first started in the industry 14 years ago. But you know what? It went out of business. What am I going to do? I had no choice. They literally got shut down. I had to move on. Then we followed our upline into another company. That company was having problems. They changed their name. They started a whole new company. I didn't know what was going on. I was in my early 20s. And you know what? I left that company. You know, I didn't stick with it. I didn't even understand what they were talking about because they were they were trying to build their business on the interweb. And I was like, dude, I don't want to sit behind a computer all day. That's ironic, isn't it? It's now Nani and I are internet marketers. But anywho, I digress. The point is, I was in a situation twice where a company let me down big time. I fired my boss after 2 years. Started making six figures part-time, so transitioned into full-time. Been full-time network marketing ever since 2008, and it's been a blessing. It's been awesome. In 2013, I resigned from that company. Now, I had decided I was going to resign from that company before then, but I don't know, for me, I felt really uncertain about the direction of my career inside of that company. I felt like I was out every night doing home meetings. I felt like I was out chasing people, and I just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was out every night. I mean, I wasn't with my family. I wasn't with my wife. I wasn't with my kids. In fact, Nadia was out doing meetings all the time. We decided to, start branding ourselves. We started, putting out content for the industry. We started building a different company. We started an insurance agency. A life insurance agency. We started creating other income streams, doing some affiliate marketing, online marketing, along with building a new network marketing business. And here's what's crazy. I did that company for 2 years, put in 300 personal recruits, 7,000 people around the world, built an awesome organization. But you know what? That company got shut down by the FTC. So what are you going to do? I mean, I don't even know. I think it was 5 months. I don't even know if I've gotten paid more than $1,000 since the company got shut down, because they did start sending some checks because we had some customers order products. But I mean, think about that. You literally go from a six-figure income to boom, it disappearing overnight. And this is why my wife and I teach entrepreneurs and network marketers to create an online presence, to build their online brand. Because if you build a following, if you build an audience, if you build your name, your brand online, think about it. If something happens to your company or you go in a different direction, you're not going to have a problem transitioning into a new business. You're not going to struggle with launching that business because you have such a large audience. You have so many contacts. You weren't the typical spammer. You weren't burning bridges every time somebody quit your team. Right? I didn't have that mindset, by the way, back in the day. But once I identified the fact that it was probably midway through the company I was in for 7 years that I decided, you know what? I don't want to burn bridges. So I wasn't always like that. But I realized at some point, you know what? Why burn a bridge? Like, why treat someone like crap just because they decide not to work with you anymore? Don't take it personal. That's like being a waiter or a bartender, and you ask your the person sitting at your table or sitting at the bar, and you say, do you want some more wine? Do you want an appetizer? Do you want some dessert? And they're like, no, I don't want any dessert. And you're like, oh my God, jerk. Burn the bridge with that person because they don't want any They don't want any more wine, right? They don't want an appetizer. That would be silly. So it's the same thing in network marketing. If somebody decides they don't want your product anymore, if they decide they don't want to build your business anymore, you shouldn't take it personal. You shouldn't be offended. Don't burn a bridge. I can't tell you how many people that I'm signing up today in my network marketing business that were in my downline back in the day. They were in my downline in 2006. They were in my downline in 2009. They were in my downline in 2013. And they're re-signing up today in the company I'm in right now. In the company I was in for 7 years, I had people that joined in the very beginning that quit and signed up again years later, that quit and signed up again years later. I had people that I signed up 2 or 3 times within 7 years. So just understand that you never want to burn a bridge. You never want to treat people like crap, but sometimes you have to do a little MLM hopping, just like dating, right? If you're dating somebody for a couple years and it doesn't work out, you're probably not going to give up dating. You're just going to date someone else. You're still going to look to marry someone, I would think. I would assume you still want to love someone and for someone to love you, right? Same thing in network marketing. It's the same thing in network marketing. If you feel like you love a company and you feel like that's the company you want to be with long term, but then something happens, they change the comp plan, the company gets bought out by different ownership, they go out of business, they decide to go from a weight loss company to a telecom company, I don't know. Things happen inside this industry, and that's why you need to build your brand. That's why you need to diversify your income. Then that does not mean you should build multiple MLM. See, what I do want to encourage you to do, if you're in a situation where you feel like you're looking for a company right now, this is not a decision you want to take lightly. You need to identify good leadership. See, it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're working with also. See, the product is important. The comp plan is important. The systems, the tools, the timing, I think matters. But it's also who you're working with, identifying good leadership, right? But if you're in a situation where you're like, should I go to a new company, go start a business? Thanks for inviting your followers. If you feel like you're uncertain if the company you're in is for you, I understand that's a tough place to be. Maybe have a conversation with your upline. Maybe do some soul searching, do some praying, interview other leaders in other companies maybe that are non-biased. Like, I always feel like I'm non-biased. Like, when I talk to people, I don't just try to always recruit them. I try to have a conversation with them as a friend, someone they can confide in, where I'm not just like trying to like see how I can like, squeeze in my opportunity, or take that approach of like, wait till they make a certain comment, and then I'm going to, when I see that opening, I'm going to mention my product and mention why my company's better and why my product's better. I hate that stuff, right? But ultimately, you have to really do some soul searching, because hopping around starting over is extremely difficult too. And sometimes the grass seems greener, and it's not. It's just different. It's different. Just because something's different, just because a comp plan has, the unilevel instead of the binary besides the unilevel, or they have a weight loss product instead of a skincare product, or it's a startup versus an old company, or it's a more established company versus a startup, that doesn't always mean it's better. That doesn't always mean it's better. So if you're in a company right now and you're like, gosh, John, it's so saturated. I get that, and that might be a problem if you feel like you are a pioneer. I don't know how many of you guys have picked up Mark Yarnell's book, How to Get Filthy, Stinking Rich in Network Marketing without alienating your friends and family. He talks about you have to figure out if you're a pioneer or a settler. So if someone is more of a settler mentality, then they should probably be in a more established company. They should be in an older company. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit more saturation, but if a company's been around for 3 decades, it's less likely they're going to go out of business. Now, if you're more of a pioneer, you feel like you want to be a ground floor type of person, like you're okay with a company going through a lot of growth pains, and you're okay with a company maybe not having everything figured out yet. Maybe they don't really have much leadership. Maybe they don't have a lot of momentum. Maybe there's a good chance they might not make it long term, but you like that risky opportunity, then you should be in a startup company. You know, if you like companies that are more ground floor because you think there's more upside, which there is, by the way, if you get involved in a ground floor company, they become $1 billion company or even 300-400 million, there is more upside. You know, I talked to Mark Yarnell about this and it was so interesting. He was like, look, and this is, you know, rest in peace, right? But Mark Yarnell, you know, he was a professor in university speaking about network marketing. And he said that if you're in a company that's doing 500 million a year and everybody's talking about how they're going to be $1 billion company, that's only doubling, which means if you're in the company, it's unlikely that your income is going to 10x if the company simply doubles. Does that make sense? So your income is probably going to double like the company's income doubles. Doubling is not as good as 10x. So if you're in a company that's at like 50 million and they go to 500 million, that is 10 times the growth. So your check could grow 10 times. So in that sense, you could say, man, it's better to be in a company that's a little younger. However, 90% of the startup companies don't make it long term. So do you see how you have to be okay with, if it's a startup, it's riskier, but there's more upside. If you get in a more established company, it's less likely it'll go out of business, but there might not be as much opportunity to make the big money. So I hope this makes sense to you, because there's a lot of pros and cons out there, whether it's a startup, whether it's a product company, established company. You know, how do they build their business? Are they an old school company, like they don't embrace social media and the internet, and you feel like you want to build more online? You may need to find a company that is embracing social media and the internet. Now, if you're in a company that is only in the US and you have international contacts, in my opinion, that might not make a lot of sense. If you're like, John, I want to build a global business, but you're in a company that's only in 17 states, or you're in a company that's only in the US or just North America, maybe talk to corporate and say, hey, are we going to expand internationally eventually? If the answer is no, but you want to build an international business, there's the answer to your question. But you need to avoid shiny ball syndrome. You see how it's not I can't just give you this easy black and white answer, because there isn't a black and white answer. I'll just tell you this. I've come across many leaders in my career that have been in one company for 10, 15, 20 years. And it's interesting because they'll tell you their story and they didn't really do well the first few years. They didn't have much success the first 5 years. In fact, you know, the traditional business owner out there will tell you if they're a profitable business within their first 5 years, they're lucky. A traditional business, if I start a grocery store, a tanning salon, a barber shop, a restaurant, a deli, if I'm profitable in my first 3 to 5 years, I'm lucky. That's rare. So don't say, well, John, I've been in my company 6 months, it's not working. Like, dude, you've been in it 6 months. Now, if you don't believe in the company or the products or the upline, it doesn't have integrity, the company doesn't have integrity, they say they're going to do certain things and they don't do it, I would have a tough time introducing my friends and family to something I don't believe in. I'd have a tough time sharing a product that is super overpriced or simply doesn't give me results, or I don't feel like it works. So you have to really do some soul searching. You should do some praying. You should do some interviewing. And again, be careful who you talk to, because if you're talking to people that are average, they're going to tell you, they're going to give you bad advice. If you talk to your mom and dad and they're not network marketers, they're not entrepreneurs, you talk to your best friend and they're just an employee, they're not going to do you any help. They're not going to give you any good advice. Like, I don't think you should do those pyramid things. But dude, you're in a pyramid. You're in the corporate America pyramid. Nobody's under you. You're on the bottom. You just don't know it. Don't say that to your friends and family, by the way. You'll offend them.